I spent $700,000 on the wedding of my dreams. And just weeks later, I caught my wife with the bartender on our honeymoon. But the scariest part didn't happen that night, it happened later, when she said one sentence I will never forget. So if you want to know how it all happened, sit down, pour yourself some tea, and listen. I loved her in a way that felt stupidly clean. Not, I like you, clean. Not, this is fun, clean. I mean pure, like the kind of love that makes you do reckless math in your head and still decide it's worth it. The kind that makes you look at a person eating fries in sweatpants and think, yeah. I'd sign my whole damn life over for this. Her name was Camille. Everyone called her Cammy. She had this laugh that started quiet, like she was trying not to take up space, then cracked open and filled the room anyway. She'd tilt her head when she listened, like she was collecting your words carefully. And I fell for her because she made the world feel less sharp. We dated 2 years. Not the chaotic kind. The steady kind. Sunday mornings and grocery lists. Road trips where you argue about music, then end up singing the same stupid chorus together anyway. She met my friends. My parents loved her. My mother, who doesn't praise anyone unless she's been visited by the Holy Spirit, took my hand one day and whispered, "Don't let this one go." And I didn't plan to. So I went big. Not because she demanded it, she never did, but because I wanted to build her a moment she'd remember even when she was old and mean and telling our grandkids how handsome I used to be. I proposed on a private terrace overlooking the water, at sunset, with a violinist playing the song she used to hum while cooking. There were candles everywhere, and white flowers, her favorite, like the whole world had been dressed up for her. I rehearsed what I was going to say 100 times and still forgot half of it the second I saw her. She stepped out in a pale dress, barefoot, hair loose in the wind, and she smiled like she had no idea what was coming. "Why is there a violin?" she asked, laughing. "Because I'm dramatic," I said, and my voice shook like a teenager's. She walked closer. "What's going on?" I took her hands. My palms were sweating. I could feel my heart trying to punch its way out. "I love you," I said. "I love you in a way that scares me. I don't want a life that doesn't have you in it. And I'm not trying to be cute about it. I'm serious." Her eyes went soft. "Baby." I dropped to one knee before I could lose my nerve. "Camille," I said, "will you marry me?" Her hands flew to her mouth. For a second she just stared like her brain had shorted out. Then she started crying, the quiet kind of crying that looks like relief. "Yes," she whispered. I laughed and exhaled like I'd been holding my breath for 2 years. "Yes. Yes," she said louder, nodding hard. "Yes. Oh my God, yes." I slid the ring on her finger. She looked at it like it was a piece of sunlight. Then she launched into my arms and held me like she was afraid I'd disappear. And I remember thinking, this is it. This is the good part people talk about. After that, I turned into a man possessed. I threw her a wedding that cost $700,000. Yeah. I know. I can hear you already, what kind of idiot? Me. I was that idiot. But I wasn't buying a party. I was buying a promise in concrete and marble and music. I wanted her to feel like a queen for a day. I wanted to give her everything she'd ever dreamed of and never had the nerve to ask for. We rented this insane coastal venue, white stone, giant arches, ocean behind it like a painting. We had a chef flown in. A live band. Custom cocktails. Fireworks. A flower wall so big it looked like a garden exploded. Guests walked in and literally stopped, mouths open. My best friend Marcus elbowed me at the rehearsal dinner and muttered, "Bro, this is not a wedding. This is a small nation's GDP." I smiled like an idiot. "She deserves it." He squinted at me. "You sure she's not marrying you for the venue?" "Shut up," I said, but I was laughing. The day came. Cammy walked down the aisle and I swear to God I forgot my own name. She wore this dress with lace sleeves and a long train, and her father's hands were shaking on her arm. When she reached me, she looked up and smiled through tears. "You okay?" she whispered. "No," I whispered back. "I'm destroyed. You look unreal." She giggled, and the priest cleared his throat like we were embarrassing him. We said vows. Mine were messy. Honest. Hers were beautiful. Too beautiful, actually, like she'd practiced them in a mirror. "I choose you," she said. "In every life. In every version of the world." And when she said, "I do," the crowd cheered like it was a movie. At the reception she danced with everyone. She kissed me like she meant it. She leaned into my shoulder during the slow songs and murmured, "Thank you, for all of this." I remember holding her and thinking, I would do it again. I'd spend twice as much. I'd sell my damn kidneys if I had to. Because I loved her. And then I planned the honeymoon. 2 months. A yacht. Not some little rental boat with plastic cups, an actual yacht, crude, stocked, floating palace. We were going to island hop, wake up in different waters, live like we were the only 2 people left on Earth. I told her about it the week after the wedding. She screamed. Like, actual squeal scream. 2 months, she yelled. On a yacht? Are you serious? I shrugged like I wasn't dying inside from how happy she looked. Serious. She jumped on me on the couch, laughing. You're insane. You're actually insane. I told you. I'm dramatic. She cupped my face. I love you, she said, eyes shining. I love you so much. And I believed her. We boarded in early summer. The yacht smelled like polished wood and salt. The crew greeted us like royalty. The captain shook my hand and called me, sir, like I'd earned it. First week. Heaven. Sun on our skin. Drinks. She wore oversized sunglasses and danced barefoot on the deck. We ate dinner under stars. We swam in water so clear it didn't look real. One evening she leaned against the rail, watching the horizon, and said, I can't believe this is my life. I kissed her shoulder. It's our life. She turned and smiled at me. I'm going to make you the happiest man on earth. I swear to you, those were her words. And then, somewhere around week 3, the vibe shifted. Tiny things at first. She started taking longer to freshen up. She'd disappear below deck with her phone. She'd laugh at texts and tilt the screen away when I walked by. I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself, you're married. She's your wife. You're on a yacht. Stop being an insecure idiot. The bartender was part of the crew. His name was Luca, young, tan, charming in that effortless way some men have when they know the world is going to forgive them for existing. He made Cammy fancy drinks and called her Bella like he was in a cheap romance novel. I noticed how she looked at him. That little sparkle. That attention that used to be mine. One night I said, trying to be casual, you like him, huh? She laughed. What? Luca? He's just nice. Hum. She rolled her eyes. Don't start. So I didn't. Until I couldn't ignore it anymore. It happened late. I woke up and the bed was empty. At first, I thought she'd gone to get water or something. Then minutes passed. I checked the bathroom, empty. The hallway, quiet. The yacht hummed with engine and ocean. I walked out, barefoot, in the soft blue night lights. The deck was empty. The stars were heavy overhead. I heard a faint sound from below. Laughter. Her laugh. My stomach dropped so hard it felt like the floor tilted. I moved toward the bar area, this little lounge space with a service counter, dimly lit. And there, behind it, was Luca. And Cammy. Too close. Her hands on him like she belonged there. His mouth on her neck. I stopped moving. My body went cold and hot at the same time, like my blood didn't know what to do. She turned her head and saw me. Her face changed in 1 second. Like someone yanked a mask off. "Oh my God," she whispered. Luca stepped back fast, eyes wide, hands raised like he'd been caught stealing. Like this was some misunderstanding. Like he hadn't been kissing my wife. I didn't yell right away. I think my brain was trying to protect me. Trying to pretend my eyes were lying. Then I heard my own voice, low and cracked. "Are you kidding me?" Cammy rushed toward me. "Wait, please." I stepped back. "Don't touch me." Her hands froze midair. She looked, not sorry. Not at first. Just scared. Like a kid caught breaking something expensive. "It was a mistake," she said. I laughed, but it wasn't humor. It was that broken sound men make when something inside them snaps. "A mistake?" I said. "We're on our honeymoon. On a yacht. That I paid for. And you're making out with the bartender like this is some trashy vacation fling." She started crying. Real tears now. "I don't know what I was thinking," she said. "It just happened." "It just happened," I repeated, tasting the words like poison. "You just tripped and landed on his mouth." Luca muttered, "Sir, I spun toward him. "Get out." He hesitated. I pointed, my hand shaking. "Get the hell out." He left quickly, silent as a rat. Cammy reached for me again. "Baby, please. Don't call me that," I said. She flinched like I slapped her. Her voice turned defensive in that gross way people do when they realize consequences exist. "It was one time," she insisted. "It was stupid. And women always say, it was a mistake. That's what women say when they mess up. I'm just saying it because it's true." I stared at her. I really stared. Because that sentence. It was like watching someone drown and still try to blame the ocean. "So you're admitting this is like, a thing?" I asked. "Like a script you already knew?" She shook her head, crying harder. "No. I mean, God, why are you twisting it?" "I'm not twisting anything," I said. My voice was so calm it scared me. "You cheated on me on our honeymoon." "It wasn't," she started. "It was," I cut in. "It was exactly that." She grabbed her hair, sobbing. "Please don't ruin us over one mistake. Don't ruin us." I whispered. "You already did." That night, I slept in a separate cabin. I didn't even close my eyes much. I just stared at the ceiling, listening to the water, trying to understand how a man can spend $700,000 to celebrate love and still end up alone in the dark. The next morning she came to the door, puffy-eyed. "Can we talk?" she asked softly. I opened the door enough to look at her. "There's nothing to talk about. We can fix this," she pleaded. "We can go to counseling. I'll do anything." I didn't move. "You already did anything." She winced. I said, "We're going home. This honeymoon is over." She shook her head like she couldn't believe I had a spine. "You can't just." "I can," I said. "And I am." The rest of the trip was a blur of logistics and silence. The yacht turned into a floating coffin. The crew avoided eye contact. Luca disappeared from my orbit completely. When we got back, I filed for divorce. She fought it at first. Not hard, but with that pathetic "I didn't mean it" energy, like intention is magic. "I love you," she said during one ugly meeting with lawyers. I swear I love you. I stared at the table and said, then you have a funny way of showing it. The divorce went through fast. Money was messy, sure, but I didn't care. I would have burned every dollar I had to get my life back. I thought that was the end. Then my lawyer called me one afternoon and said, she's claiming she's pregnant. I went quiet. Is she? I asked. She has paperwork, he said. Doctor confirmed. I sat down hard in my kitchen chair like my legs stopped working. Pregnant. My child. With her. The woman who betrayed me in the middle of the dream I built. I didn't know whether to scream or throw up. When I confronted her, she tried to use it like a lever. See, she said, hand on her stomach. We're connected forever. We should try again. For the baby. I looked her in the eye and said, we are not getting back together. But I will be a father. And you don't get to use my child as a bargaining chip. Her expression hardened. You can't take my baby. I'm not taking, I said. I'm protecting. The pregnancy changed everything. She bounced between crying and rage. Between, please forgive me, and, you're punishing me. But then reality hit her, being a mother isn't a photo op. It's work. She didn't want the work. When the baby was born, a little boy, red-faced and furious at the world, something cracked open in me that I didn't know existed. I held him and he wrapped his tiny hand around my finger like he was anchoring himself to life. Cammy looked exhausted. Detached. Like she was watching someone else's movie. I stayed. I learned. I did diapers with shaking hands. I warmed bottles at 3 a.m. I paced the floor with him against my chest, whispering, I got you, buddy. I got you. One night, when he was only a few months old, she stood in the doorway while I rocked him. I can't do this, she said flatly. I stared at her. What do you mean you can't? She shrugged like she was talking about quitting a gym membership. I'm not cut out for this. I'm suffocating. He's your son, I said. She rolled her eyes, actually rolled them. Don't start with the guilt. My voice went low. You're leaving. I need my life back, she said, as if she hadn't already stolen mine. I stood up slowly, still holding my son. He was asleep on my shoulder, warm and trusting. If you walk out, I said, you don't get to come back when you're bored. She scoffed. Whatever. And then she did the last thing I thought she was capable of. She left. No fight for custody. No real tears. Just a suitcase and a door closing. Later, the court paperwork came through, child support, alimony obligations, basic responsibility. And she refused. She dodged. She vanished. She left me holding everything alone, like she'd left every other mess in her life. People asked me how I survived it. The truth? I didn't have a choice. Because my son would wake up and look at me with those wide eyes like I was the whole universe. And I couldn't collapse. Not fully. Not in front of him. So I rebuilt. I cut out the parts of my life that reminded me of her. Sold things. Simplified. Learned how to make mac and cheese without burning it. Learned how to braid tiny hair when he got older and insisted his stuffed lion needed a cool style. And the wild part? Somewhere in the exhaustion, I became happy. Not the shiny Instagram version. The real version. The quiet, deep kind. I remember the first time he said, Dada. He was in his high chair, face smeared with mashed banana, and he looked at me like I was the best thing that ever happened. Dada, he said, clear as day. I froze, spoon in my hand. What did you say? I whispered. He grinned and repeated it, Dada. And I laughed so hard I started crying, ugly, stupid tears, because no one had ever said something that healed me so fast. Now my life is mornings with cereal and cartoons. It's tiny sneakers by the door. It's school pickups and bedtime stories. It's him climbing into my lap and saying, "You're my best friend," like it's obvious. Sometimes, rarely, I think about the yacht. The wedding. The fireworks. The money. $700,000. 2 months of honeymoon planned. All that effort, all that belief, all that love poured into a person who didn't know how to hold it. And yeah, it still stings, like a scar you poke by accident. But then my son runs into the room yelling, "Dad! Look what I built," holding up a crooked Lego tower like he just invented architecture. And I think, maybe I got the ending I deserved. Not the one I paid for. Not the one I planned. But the one that matters. Because I'm not a husband anymore. I'm a dad. And I'm happy. Hey, my friend Marcus said once, watching my kid fall asleep against my chest. "You okay, man? Like, really?" I looked down at the little face, the slow breathing, the absolute trust. And I said, honest as hell, "Yeah." Then I smirked, because the universe loves irony. "Turns out," I said, "she gave me the only good thing she was ever going to give me, and didn't even have the decency to stay for it."